All right, everyone, now on to economics. Of course, the Dow Jones marked its best day in history, I believe, yesterday, adding over 1,000 points in a single day. Now, some people are like, well, it's a dead cat bounce. It's a fool's rally. Yeah, probably is. I expect that the Dow and the other markets will slide down a bit further. However, if you look at the charts the right way, let's say that you extrapolate, let's say you extend the stock market over time out to its maximum extent. We're talking a shit ton of time instead of usually you're looking at like a 1 year or a 1 month graph. Look at the whole thing in its totality and tell me what you see. It's a fairly straightforward trend line now, isn't it? Very slightly exponential, technically logarithmic, I'm sure, and tends towards the upwards because things tend to expand over time. That's the reality of our economy. If what you're talking about when you talk about a major downturn is still going to be within that general trend. Therefore, do I see a collapse coming? No, absolutely not. I think what is generally called a collapse usually is the result of intervention that's being slowly peeled back. What we're seeing is a mild correction right now. Which makes sense, again, because the intervention that was propping things up, 0% interest rates, we're going to pump funny money into the system ad nauseum, like Obama wanted to do, is being eased back off of, they call it quantitative easing. Now you have to have a bit of a correction. You have a little bit of pain now for some time, and the growth thereafter probably won't be as quick. It'll be a little bit more slow, but it will recover over time. Generally, the stock market throughout history is increases over time, truncated by short periods of downturn. That's basically what it amounts to, because each time it always exceeds, because of interventionism, not because of capitalism. You exceed the actual real value, it corrects. You exceed the real value and it corrects. So it sort of looks like, the edge of a saw or something over time, very slightly trending upwards. I don't think that we're headed for a Great Depression or any of these other things, but I wouldn't be surprised to see the markets continue to slide. But here's the thing, again, like with the other day, who fucking cares? If you're a stockbroker, I'm sure that you care. If you're living off of some retirement plan that involves the stock market, you probably care. The rest of America, probably not. Let's say you're on Main Street America, you're just a blue-collar worker, you own a restaurant or whatever. Yeah, you're a bartender. Probably not affecting you to any significant degree. Yeah, your business might get fucked because some parent firm goes under. That's not particularly likely. Even at the height of the Great Recession, our economy was still the largest in the world. And by the way, when we get hit by a recession, if U.S. purchasing slows down, who does that affect most of all? What other country in the world is most directly impacted by a U.S. economic downturn? China. Believe it or not. That's because China's main economic power is they export stuff to us. We are their largest trading partner, predominantly buy things. They're not our largest trading partner. We primarily buy from them. We're not selling to them. This is not a big problem for us. The economic downturn affects them arguably more than it affects us. It would be very funny to see China enter a recession simply because we have. It's possible. I'm not going to sit here and worry, though. There's not anything the average person's going to be able to do about the stock market. People are bracing for Armageddon. Okay, well then buy some silver, I guess. Buy some cryptocurrency or something. Crypto has recovered a bit. Although, again, it might just be a short-term thing. It'll probably keep going down for a while, but I think we're near the end of that, and I literally predicted the downslide. It was very funny because we got the foreshock, and a lot of people are like, well, it's just a couple of off days, and they kept buying up, Bitcoin and stuff, sinking huge amounts of money into it when it's already obviously overvalued. And then they lose out, unlike people that invested early. That's why I just sit there and hold it. I'm like, people can send me crypto if they want. Links in the description, by the way, to my crypto wallets. It's a funny time to live in, though, definitely. When the liberals are saying, well, we want a recession, says Bill Maher. Well, if you get it, I think that you might eat those words. And likewise, they're eating their words anyway, because I pointed out, hey, now it'll be funny, because, when the market starts recovering, you'll stop saying it's the Trump economy kicking in. You say, oh, we're back to the Obama economy again. So for that glorious day yesterday, it was the Obama economy. Now it's back to the Trump economy. I think the markets are down several hundred points in pre-trading. It might continue, or it might go in the other direction, but none of these people know. None of these people can tell you which one's the reality, because they're not living in the future now, are they? They're living in the present. They're using the past to gauge the future. It's not always entirely effective. What is true is that the markets will tend to rise over longer spans of time, and people who, randomly sell things off because they get jittery tend to lose out over time. They could have made more money long term if they didn't do that. That's because, generally speaking, expansion happens. The economy expands over time. It gets bigger. There's more wealth to be invested in. There are more holdings, more buildings and farms and everything else. The world is still expanding. Now, there are parts of the world you can invest in where there's almost no development yet. You should definitely think about investing there if you have the ability. What do you think China's doing? It's making a gamble for the next century, really, at the moment, by investing heavily in Africa. They want as many holdings as they can, industrial holdings, farms and shit all over Africa, as many as they can grab, because they know that they're going to be worth 100 times as much a century from now. They're making the right decision. The U.S., by the way, beginning to do that in West Africa. Yes, absolutely, it's a great idea. At least that's my opinion. I'm not a stockbroker, I'm not an economist, so you can take it or leave it as far as my non-advice goes. And it was funny to see it, though, mark, one of its best days after one of its worst days. I think there might be some volatility involved there. I think that the market might not be acting normally for a while. And it could be a bumpy ride. It'd be funny, let's say we do have another depression. Well, then Trump probably gets knocked out in 2020. Then the Democrats have to choose who to coronate. Wouldn't it be interesting if it were something like a Bernie Sanders or something? Then you get another New Deal, FDR era, only this time, thankfully, probably would keel over in his first term because I think he's 76, 77 now. That'd be quite interesting to see. That's about all. Peace out.